Hi, I'm Drew.
And I'm Sam.
And welcome to Drewling Samantics.
There he is. Hello, mate. How you doing? Good to see you.
And you, Sam, and you, how you doing? You're looking very fresh-faced and young and in the middle of performance mode. How's it all going?
Yeah, I'm all right. What the fuck? Can you hear that?
Why is that? Have you done? That sounds very much to me like a printer clattering away in the back.
Yeah. So I've got a printer sat on my desk next to my editing setup, as you do, and it's just decided to do something on its own. Nothing to do with me whatsoever. And just hang on, wait.
God, what we got?
Are you
Sam?
ready for this? Sorry for people not watching on YouTube. This is going to be anticlimactic for you, but I'll be honest, it's going to be anticlimactic for people who can see because,
Hey, that's this week's script, a blank sheet of paper.
yes, if you hadn't guessed by Drew's amazing witticism there, it's managed to print a plain piece of paper. No idea what the bloody hell it's playing at there, but enough interruptions from phantoms that seem to be inhabiting my my printer and my technology here. How are you, mate? It's good to see you.
And you, Sam, and you. Yeah, very good, very good. At the time of recording, I've just finished a weekend at the Swanage Jazz Festival, which was great fun, really fun. And I know you have just finished your first weekend of performances on tour. So how's it going?
Yeah, we're obviously recording this one a little bit ahead. We got a few bits and pieces going on. So apologies if there are massive news items that you're thinking, well, why haven't you addressed those? But we're working around our availability and things. But yeah, so I've just done the first few performances of the tour, going really, really well. Had some lovely audiences. Touch wood, I'm going to regret saying it, but had some really lovely weather as well. It's held off thus far. But yeah, no, it's been really good. I mean, I'm absolutely flaming knackered, mate. Like,
I bet.
Lots of driving, lots going on, and it's only going to get worse, of course. What I'm actually going into now is the second rehearsal period. So as you know, I'm repping 2 shows. So we've rehearsed the first one, started performing the first one, and now we rehearse the second one while the performances for the first one sort of continue as well. So yeah, the weather's not quite as integral at this point because we're in the rehearsal room. But once we go back out on shows again, it'd be nice if we could have some sort of semblance of summer. But there's no guarantee of that, as we know. So
yeah, well, same thing, mate. At the festival, we were just one eye on the audience and the other at the sky all the time because it's like, please don't rain. But yeah, we had great shows and good audiences. Brilliant. More of which in a little while, I think. We'll.
Oh yes, we did say the other day that we were going to address an element about audiences, but we'll come on to that because I'm sure. Equally, cheers, by the way, mate.
Oh, by the way, yeah, I'm still on the coffee. Try and stay awake.
Yes. Whereas I'm rewarding myself for a successful weekend, although the weekend that I'm saying was successful was not quite so successful. We're not going to go over it. We talked about it previously. Yeah, it wasn't. The successful weekend I had was not shared by groups of other Englishmen. But anyway, I'm so I'm having a bit of a beer to say well done for a good weekend.
Well, I tell you what, you have a little slurp and a rest there, and I'll just bring you up to date with a little bit of music. It's a news story that we followed over a couple of episodes, and it was, of course, which is now a full blown court case. It was Alec Baldwin and the very sad accident that led to the death of Helena Hutchins on the set of Alec Baldwin film Rust. Yes. Now, interestingly, the armourer Gutierrez, Hannah Gutierrez was found guilty, but the case is now up in appeal stage.
Right.
But something that may have an effect on that is Alec Baldwin was prosecuted for involuntary manslaughter. over the past few days, that case has been dismissed and thrown out by the judge, who ruled that there was evidence not tampered but withheld from the withheld by police and prosecution, by the prosecution of the police, so that Alec Baldwin's defense lawyer, they had no idea. And I'm just going to read the notes for this, because it was evidence of the source of the live rounds the live round that killed Helena Hutchins was withheld. And Alec Baldwin's lawyer alleged there was a cover-up by prosecutors and police. But Alex Baldwin has been dismissed without prejudice. The police had taken possession of live rounds in March as evidence, but failed to list them in the Rust investigation file or disclose their existence to the defense lawyers. And they have had a series of mishaps and misrepresentation of evidence, etc., right the way through. And the judge just threw the case out and said, obviously, because of this, it's an end of certainly Alec Baldwin's case, but it's slightly unsatisfactory from the point of view of, okay, it's a technicality that he's been dismissed, but it would have been nice to have the evidence looked over and go, yeah, he's definitely innocent, or Hannah Gutierrez is guilty, or whichever way round. It ends slightly, very satisfactory for Alec Baldwin, obviously, but slightly unsatisfactory from the point of a proper conclusion, upon which then actions and precedents could have been set. But there could have been a ruling that something should happen to prevent this happening in the future on film sets. If there was something that needed to be said, it could have been done. It's probably not going to be done now. But however, Alec Baldwin, he's got off great, whichever side you come down on, it's good for him. But an interesting twist in this whole saga.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because if there was a miscommunication somewhere, or if something went sort of slightly awry, you'd be like, oh, well, that's really frustrating, but we kind of get these things can happen. But for what would essentially have been a rather important piece of evidence to not even be declared, I mean, it just rings massive alarm bells, doesn't it? And it kind of makes you, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure a lot of our listeners and watchers have seen the Making a Murderer series and looked at some of the stuff in that. And I know there are definitely two camps of people: those who watch that series and are like, oh, it's complete injustice, how could that be possible? And then others who have watched, there's another series, isn't there, called I think it's Convicting a Murderer or something like that. It's like
something like that. Yes, I think it rings a bell.
Like where they say, no, this is all missed from that one, and actually he's massively guilty, or that they are massively guilty. But either way, you can look at it in whatever way you choose. But certainly in Making a Murderer, there were elements where you're like, that's so almost ridiculous that it can't be true. Like there was an element, and not to spoil it for anyone, if you are planning on watching it and haven't watched it yet, do turn away now or cover your ears or whatever. But there's a moment where they're hunting for a set of keys in a room, and the room's quite messy, and they hunt it like 3 or 4 times and can't find this set of keys, and then they go back in and they're like in the middle of the floor, and you're like, but if it's been searched 3 times, it is impossible for someone to have missed them that many times. But now you're declaring, look what we found, look where they were, and you're like, that it's just it's ridiculous is definitely the word. And this sounds a little bit similar in that, right, you're talking about a shooting. If you had something that had taken part in that shooting as a piece of evidence and then didn't volunteer it, didn't use it, the only thing I can see, and I'm using perhaps very blinkered eyesight and going literally on the bare obvious facts, but if you're not including something, it's because you don't want it included or you doubt its value. So in that sense, I would interpret that means it doesn't support what you're trying to prove. That's just how it comes across to me.
Yeah, it does smack that there's been some I'm not saying tampering with the evidence, but misuse of that piece of evidence, either, as you say, either one way or the other. But it certainly helped Alec Baldwin's case in so much as the police have, the police cocked up. But yeah, very interesting. But that, I mean, it still rumbles on because of the case against the armourer and her appeal. So let's see what happens. This may well have some bearing on her case.
Yeah, well, as we said when we started looking into this, and when it first happened, we said we'll keep up with any developments of things, and obviously, as we say, we're slightly ahead of ourselves at the moment, so there may have been even more developments since, but we will obviously keep on top of them as best we can. So.
Yeah. In the recent days, we say at the time of airing, this is a very recent sad piece of news. Shannon Doherty, who American actress. Wonderful, beautiful actress. She was in Charmed, 90210, which was a big cult hit American TV series. She was in Heathers, some amazing television series. She passed away age 53, which is disgustingly young. But she had been battling cancer since 2015. She had been in a remission, can't even say it. She had been in remission at one point. And then it came back, and it was very brave. She was very public about it as well, which I think is incredibly brave to share your trip with people that who love you, and not only the public but her family. She wanted it to be very much a journey of helping others. So a little hat tip to her, and an RAP to her, bless her heart. And also another. Someone who passed away over the past few days, over the weekend of the 13th, 14th, 15th of July, was Joe Egan. Now, he and Jerry Rafferty, they founded Steelers Wheel, and a great folk rock band they were. And I mention him because he deserves a mention because of the great music he's written, but also because in one of my favorite films, Quentin Tarantino movie, Reservoir Dogs, Stuck in the Middle with You, which is a great little folk rock tune, and it was incredibly successful. It's probably used in one of the most gruesome scenes in a movie. Michael Madsen is torturing the young policeman they've taken prisoner after the robbery. If you haven't seen the movie, you should have seen the movie. So forget the spoilers here. You're late to the party. But the scene where he ties the guy up and covers him in lighter fuel and goodness knows what else, petrol and that, and chops his ear off. Stuck in the Middle with You, which is the irony of the song.
Oh, God,
the way it's used in that movie. I mean, Quentin Tarantino always chooses fabulous music anyway. But that song, which is a great song, used in that moment, it's stuck in everyone's mind. So a nod to Joe Egan, who wrote that along with Jerry Rafferty. Great song. To Joe Egan and Shannon Doherty, we raise a glass to you.
Yeah, such an incredible film, and such an impactful way of using what is quite a cheerful piece of music.
It was. Now, I got a little spin-off from that, which I got a little segue, Sam.
Here we go.
I went to see that movie with an old mate of mine who we went with a group of fellas, and we said we've got to see this film. It's we'd heard so much about it, and during that and subsequent there was two ladies about 5 or 6 rows in front of us in the cinema, a little cinema in Richmond in West London.
Yeah,
and we were sitting there, and there's a lot of blood in that film, a lot of blood.
There is, yeah.
And particularly, they're lying there bleeding a lot. Nasty things happen. And at one point, this girl stood up and sort of clutched her mouth, and she was obviously, feeling the effects of the blood. And she dashed out the cinema. You have never seen audience members get out of the way quicker than they got out of the way as this poor girl ran from the auditorium to get the hell out of the way. I didn't know. I don't think she came back. I don't remember her coming back in. But yeah, that was that just suddenly came into my head that I remember sitting there, and even one of the guys I was with, he was sort of like, oh, looking away because some of it was, not nasty, but it was very, very, very graphic and very well filmed.
Of the time, though, I would say I don't think it's anything compared to what you see now. Really,
I think you're right, Sam. I think you're
I
right.
think
Yeah, very
times have
much so.
changed, and actually, on that note, and I won't go off too much on sort of a diversion, but I think what summed up the change in film and sort of graphic violence and stuff like that for me is looking at the Terminator films. And obviously, the first Terminator film, unbelievable film, one of my favourite films of all time.
I
18
agree.
Certificate. Second Terminator film, a lot of people prefer even to the first. I'm a stickler for the first. I still think the first is the best because it was the first time it was done. But nonetheless, T2 is a brilliant film as well. 15 Certificate. Then obviously we fast forward a few years to Terminator 3, 12A. Now I wouldn't say that the violence or the guts, gore, blood, whatever is any less in each one, but I think times have changed, and certainly I think Reservoir Dogs. I wouldn't say it's tame by today's standards, certainly, but I think I don't think people would be quite so shocked coming to it for the first time now.
It's interesting because it's almost the violence is almost it's almost cartoon like because once you see a guy lying in a pool of blood clutching his stomach, you kind of get within that sort of 10, 15 minutes a little bit desensitized. You go, okay, he's holding his guts in, he's been shot, there's blood.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, then there are other scenes obviously that go from there, but yeah, maybe we see so much. I mean, slight tangent, but we see it in the news. The news, it's on the television all the time. We
Yeah.
see it's happening on the streets of whatever war zone we're in. And yeah, maybe it's a bad thing that we're not shocked by the news because we do see so much of it in the cinema and on
maybe.
stage. I mean, there are equally in some instances, on stage shows, it can be quite shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, watching audiences reaction, well, the audience reaction to that was very interesting. But we said we would go way back to be where we were. So you've done some shows inside and some outside. What are you finding? Are you finding a difference in the audience? Do they obviously, when you've got a roof over your head, there are different things going on. But
Of course.
what's been the feeling?
A theatre audience is a theatre audience, isn't it? People go in, understand that they sit down, they be quiet, they laugh in the right places, they applaud in the right places, and they try and enjoy their evening. An outdoor performance is a very different thing because obviously what is sort of promoted in a lot of outdoor theatre, particularly in ours, is that you go along, you can have some drinks, you can have your picnic, you can sit in your chairs or you can sit on blankets, you can cuddle up warm. If it rains, then you just put your hood up and away you go and you kind of deal with it. And equally, you've got that sort of in the theatre, people go, right, well, unless I'm absolutely desperate, no, I'm going to sit through till the half, till the interval before I get up and use the facilities or whatever. Outdoor, you kind of go, well, I'm not really going to disturb people in the same way. We're not sat in rows, or certainly in the shows that I'm doing, so I can sort of sneak out, and people might not really care. Equally, I think perhaps I was going to say you have to concentrate more outside. I don't mean that in a sense of like the pieces are different because they're not. It's the same piece whether it's inside or out. But I think in a theatre, the sound is coming from one place and that it will come to you. Certainly with microphones, the sound will come all around you, so you don't have to try too hard as long as the tech is working. And as we know, the tech doesn't always work, but that's not the point. But outdoor theatre, obviously we're having to project more to make sure that the sound does travel because it's just as soon as it goes, it vanishes.
It's gone.
And we are not mic'd, so we don't use microphones for any of our performances, be that indoors or outdoors. So we are just upping the volume in the same way you did for, was it One Man Two Governors you did outside, and you did another one as well?
Yeah, One Man Two Governors, Lavender Hill Mob. Yeah, we did not Lavender Hill Mob. What I'm talking about. What comes to me? Gone. Yeah, a Brighton Open Air Theatre. Yeah.
Which I'm going to later this month, later next month, can't remember. But we're performing there as well. So you do have to change your performance. But equally, I think the audience have to change in that they have to concentrate slightly more because there can be so many other distractions, other sounds going on. The weather makes a difference as well. So yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't say they're different audiences per se, but I think the behaviour or certainly the way they enjoy a piece like that changes depending on where they are. And I think
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think they own the space more outside. Do you know what I mean? Because they set themselves up. We noticed that when we did Brighton Open Air Theatre, it's like an auditorium. There are step seats and everything, and it's comfortable. It's you've got astroturf under your backside, so it's reasonable. You can lean back. But people create their little spaces. So you'd get a couple, and husband and wife. In between them is their blanket. They've got a bottle of wine. The other thing is you get rustling of crisp packets and sweeties in the theatre occasionally. Outside, it's everything. It's corks going off. And it's like, what are you not doing out there? But it made you giggle because I know someone. We were doing one scene in and a cork. And all the criminals in the scene went, "What? What was that?" And we all just reacted, and big laugh from the audience, and we carried on. You can't ignore it, so we all went, "What was that?" Blimey, and then it was.
Well, that's it. I mean, there are silly things like we've got. There's a conversation that goes on about there being a breeze in a room. I don't know how well you know An Ideal Husband, but
vaguely, yeah.
Lord Goring is chatting to his father. Lord Caversham, who is very adamant that there is a breeze in in his dining room or his living room, wherever they happen to be. When you're stood outside doing that, people piss themselves laughing. Of course, there's a fucking breeze. We're outside. It's windy, and you can tune things to that, and you can sort of run aware, and it's very tongue in cheek and stuff. But I think an audience are. I think they're more expectant within a theatre. I think they expect everything to be very much on it. I think they are more forgiving as an audience outside because they know you're in the elements and you are at the mercy of nature, etc. So
you're all going through it as well, aren't you? That's the thing is you're all when a plane goes overhead and you're in a Shakespeare play, everyone goes, yeah, we know. We'll all just ignore it. But I think we know. It was wonderful at the jazz festival. Because we were outside under a canopy, under what's known as a stretch tent. I didn't know it was called that until the weekend. There are no sides to it, so you are playing. We weren't playing in the round, but there are people sitting behind us at picnic tables, and it had a real festival vibe to it. Families are sitting there with their children. They were eating. There were pints going. There were picnic tables. It's all going on. Yeah. They were very much focused on the show, which is great, and it is very, very full of audience participation. The children are coming up playing instruments, they're playing shakers, they're waving balloons, and the rest of it. That is the whole feel to it. But it was very much that the audience loved it. They were really getting into it. They're getting serious jazz as well as children, but that's the whole mixture of the show. It was very interesting watching the audiences coming out, having watched. There was a marquee opposite, and there was a very serious, for want of a better word, jazz band on playing great jazz. And then the audience would come out of there and they go, "What on earth is going over there with all those children playing?" And they're going, "There's serious jazz going on there," as well as everybody. We had everybody shaking shakers and waving balloons and in time to great jazz tunes, but their behavior was totally different. We were outside and they were going for it. And then we went in to watch the jazz in the evening once we'd done our two shows. And everyone is very respectful. They're very serious jazz aficionados and audience. And they're all applauding, after the jazz solos and everything. And if anybody rustled or came in, their heads turned, there was a shh, what are you shushing me for? There's a 10-piece jazz band on up there, very, very strange. And also the other thing was there was a lot of beer. There was a big beer tent, and in the afternoon there was a polite drinking. In the evening they went for it, and they were. I mean, to all respect to due respect to jazz audiences, they were an older audience. They were a lot of silver foxes like yours truly. There were a lot of grey-haired drunks there. Enjoying the jazz. It was great. It was fantastic. I mean, I have to say, I'm just going to say to anybody that goes and listens to jazz and does it. It was a wonderful festival, and Swanage Jazz Festival was fabulous. They had a great setup there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some truly comical moments, both in our show and watching the series Jazz.
I was about to pull you up then and go, is it the dumb thing to refer to oneself as a silver fox? But then you equally called yourself elderly or past it or something to kind of caveat it. I think so.
Yeah, yeah. They're a lot older than me. You know,
Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer to see myself more as a silver wolf than or I don't. But I actually, if you and I'm going to say this now, and I'm never ever going to live this down. I know, but during the show, we've got lots of these balloon animals about which the songs are about. One of them is a donkey called Cecily, and she has a couple of songs that Verona has written, who fronts and heads up the band. One of which is called the Donkey Ding Dong, during which I'm manipulating the donkey, and we're having a ding dong, we're having a party.
Right.
Now, we went back, we finished our shows, we packed away and then went back to listen to jazz, have a drink and have something to eat. And a lady came up to me in the queue, a fellow performer, I should say, and she'd watched our show. And she went, "Oh my God, it's the Donkey Man." Now, I've never been referred to as the Donkey Man. It isn't a euphemism, I hasten to add. It was, but she'd watched me basically playing with Cecily the donkey for about a quarter of an hour. Verona was howling with laughter. Lovely guy Tom Neal, who was our sax player, who has been a guest on Drewling Samantics. He was playing saxophone for us. They were both in hysterics as I was referred to as the Donkey Man.
I'm going to stick with you being the old drunk, as you said.
Okay, fair enough.
Think that's probably more accurate. But you know, it's funny, isn't it? So there are things there that you could sort of judge, and you do wonder, like, how do people react? We've said numerous times about how, oh God, are we going to be cancelled for saying certain things, and how are people going to look on stuff? But at the end of the day, our views are our own, and we don't shy away from controversy, but equally we don't just try and create these moments. But where I was going with this is there was a hilarious moment on the BBC back when the Euros were on, where Cristiano Ronaldo was. Sorry, we're going on about football again. We had this a couple of weeks ago, but yeah, if you don't like football, apologies. But there is a reason for this. Cristiano Ronaldo was having his legs massaged. He had two massage therapists or physiotherapists or whatever you want to call them working on each of his legs. And Gary Lineker very innocently said, "Well, it's lucky he hasn't got three." And you think it's brilliant because obviously Gary Lineker does. He has his own podcast as well with Michael Richards and Alan Shearer, and that is not monitored by the BBC. It's their own thing. I think it's Goalhanger podcast, isn't it? Or Goalhanger is the company that he owns with a colleague, and they sort of create those. And obviously there's no filters on there because that's their own stuff. Whereas on the BBC, he's very much in tune. And I wonder if there was some sort of crossover there.
Moment.
Oh shit! No, I'm on the BBC. I'm not. But I just love those innocent little moments. And speaking of moments, mate, and here's a really bad segue for you. This is the final moment of season 11.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Oh no, hang on. It's a final us. I mean, there is more to come.
Yeah. Well, we've got our best ofs coming up, but this is the last time that you and I are doing a new episode in season 11.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the fabulous Pete on last week, and now we're here saying our farewells. Obviously, we don't want people to run off. We could stick around because there's episodes coming up over the next couple of weeks with highlights and things, which will be brilliant because it's been such a superb season.
Great season.
But yeah, it's where's the time gone, mate? It feels like it's been a really quick one. This one, I don't know why.
Yeah, it does. I think because, as we've said, we've had to record a little bit out of sync here and there because we are so busy. Thankfully, we're not complaining. It seems to have gone because we've not done a week after week kind of thing. So we've not been counting the weeks. We've just been doing it, which has been quite good fun.
Yeah.
And we hope that everyone is sitting out there going, "What are these guys doing?" We don't know where you are, but if you and we know you're out there. We know you're listening and watching us. So thank you very much. But we do have. This is the last of the lovely Sam and myself, live and fresh. the next time you see us, it will be the best ofs, the best
You
of
will
our wonderful
indeed.
guests.
And then
The best of our
shortly
wonderful-
after that, we'll be diving in for a brand new season. Some big changes coming. We're not going to go into that just yet, but some big changes are coming. We've got loads and loads of really great guests queued up. That's really positive. Cannot wait for some of those. And yeah, just in general, it's been a wonderful season, but I'm very much looking forward to the next one with everything we've got going on. We're still super busy, but that is not going to stop us. We are not going anywhere. We're going to hang on in there and do absolutely everything we can. So to that, sir, why don't we raise a glass, or in your case, raise a mug.
mug.
Your mug and your mug. Very good.
Hey.
Cheers to everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today and throughout this whole season, and obviously every episode before then that people have been kind enough to listen to download, to watch, to stream. It is still an absolute honour and pleasure doing this each week with this idiot. And I wouldn't have it any other way. As said, this is the last one of this season before the best ofs. Tune in for those best ofs. There's some great stuff coming in those. And then do come back for season 12. But really, it's just a massive, massive thank you. Keep your comments coming. Keep your feedback coming.
Yeah.
Suggestions. We love to hear those. And yeah, should we just keep trying to do what we do, mate?
Just keep doing it, mate. It's always a good fun. It's always a great laugh. We've got some wonderful listeners and followers, so we'll still be here. We'll still be. We're not leaving.
It's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's not meant to be a threat. It's not a threat.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, everyone listening.
Cheers, Sam. Cheers, everyone.
See you next time for Best of Guests. Take it easy. Ta-da.
Bye-bye.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Drewling Samantics.
Please make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video.
Don't forget, we're also available as audio only. Just search Drewling Samantics in any good podcast app. And please support us on social media. All our links and handles are on screen now.
We love welcoming new followers and subscribers, so why not share with your family and friends so they can join in too? Thanks very much. See you next time.